Nothing quite worked out for the Brewers. It was one of those games for the Brewers, but before the game, some interesting moves that they made. Get to all that coming up next on this edition of Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yeah, it's one of those games where didn't defend well, didn't pitch well, didn't run the bases well. Brewers aren't going to win too many games. They're not overly talented where they could overcome stuff like that. And they ended up losing the opener of their 10-game road trip in San Francisco. Good to have you along. Chuck Freeman here. Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200, $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet hits. That's at FanDuel. Off the top, Brandon has been doing is starting doing the postcast. We're having a live post-game show. Brandon will take care of that right after the game, about a 20-minute post-game where he'll wrap up the game each and every night. So just want to let you know, people ask me, what's happening? How come Brandon is on the show? Well, Brandon was doing Locked On Brewers a couple of years ago. He'll be doing the postcast now. It's a new thing that started on Locked On all across the Locked On network. Several teams that have high demands for their team's coverage, and Brandon's going to do a good job doing that, and he'll be doing all the post-game coverage right here on Locked On Brewers. So, but we'll be still dropping episodes as we always. Nothing changes with us. We're still here. And the Brewers, this was one of those rare games where the Brewers fundamentally did not play well. That's about the best way to put it. Fundamentally did not have a good game. You saw them on the base pass getting picked off, Jackson Chourio getting picked off. Just some weird things that happen the Brewers don't normally do. Yeah, Chourio made up with it, making a great play out in outfield when the Giants had the bases loaded. But some defensive mistakes, wasn't real clean, some base running errors. Yelich nearly got picked off, and he was safe at second base as he was forced to go to second base. Made it, but that would have been another one. But this game, 2-2 game in the sixth inning, Grant Anderson gives up a home run, a sinker that didn't sink. We'll put it that way. He left a cookie over the plate to Will Flores, and Flores hit it a long ways in the sixth inning, and that broke up a tie game, and the Brewers ended up losing. Anderson gets the loss. But it was funny because they were talking on the broadcast, how Grant Anderson has earned the trust of Pat Murphy, and he had earned the trust because, like in the last week, he had quietly moved up the rungs as far as trust out of that bullpen. He had a great homestand. And they were talking about this on the broadcast as well. Sophia was mentioning it, that, Murph really didn't have Grant Anderson on his radar at all. Didn't have him on his radar at all in spring training. And gets called up to the parent team. And last Sunday didn't go very well. A week ago Sunday in Arizona, but came home, had a nice homestand, quietly had a nice homestand. So he gets in there in the sixth inning in a 2-2 game. I don't quite have the confidence in. Anderson's got some good stuff, but he left foot over the plate, and Flores hit it with a long way out to left field for the tie-breaking home run, and then two more runs the Giants tacked on later in the game, and they went on to a 5-2 victory. But, for a bullpen that, at times could use some arms, it was great. It's great that, Anderson gave him a couple of lifts. I just haven't earned the trust quite that Murphy has. We'll see how that goes. Quinn Priester did make the start, and after two solid starts out of him, his third one with the Brewers didn't go great. 4 hits, 4 innings, 81 pitches, 4 hits, and that was it. Got him out of there. Got him out of there in a 2-2 game. Got a no decision, and then Anderson gives up the home run. But Quinn Priester wasn't his best game either. Really, I thought lacked some control out there. Looked like he was all over the map a little bit. But again, young pitcher, growing pitcher, not expecting him to go out there and be in Roger Clemens. So all in all, not a good night. Caleb Durbin hit that early 2-run home run, and we're thinking, okay, first career home run. Great to see. Made it a great defensive play at third base. So, Durbin getting on the board with that home run. So they need from the third base spot some power. I don't know how much he's going to supply over there at third base, but he is the everyday third baseman. And, like I always say, I want power out of my corner spots, left and right and third and first. And Durbin provided it in a home run. His first major league homer. We'll see how many more he hits. But like I said, 12-11 at this point. Cubs had the night off. Brewers a game and a half out. Just one of those clunker type of games for the Brewers. It's going to happen to every major league team out there where, the Brewers are one of those teams where if they don't do the little things, they screw up on the base paths. They don't play a clean game defensively, all that. This is what happens. They're going to lose games. And I would say last night was one of those rare games. Monday night was one of those rare games where it just was kind of a dud game. They beat themselves in a few different areas. Willie Adames had a chance to see Willie play for a first time against the Brewers. The media caught up with him before the game, talk about him, and he had some interesting things to say. We'll get to that coming up next. Brewers also made some moves. Some interesting moves. One was a little bit of a surprise, but if you think about it further, it really wasn't. We'll get to all that coming up next. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day in FanDuel. NBA playoffs, they are here. FanDuel giving new customers an incredible way to get in all the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and you place that first $5 bet, you get a $250 bonus bet. $250 added to your account when that $5 bet hits. It wins $250 in bonus bets into your account. You can use it in a multitude of different ways. I love the live betting. Cleveland was a big number, but I took Cleveland against the Yankees on the live line. Got out to an early 5-0 lead. Got a little hairy at the end, but they hung on. I've been doing well with that live. Golden State the night before in basketball. But live betting, check it out. FanDuel's great for live betting. That's all laid out for you. You got the box score, you got everything you need for live betting. It's all there on FanDuel. And again, don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com right now. Claim your $250 in bonus bets when you place your first $5 bet, and that bet wins. NBA, NHL, they got it all. Major League Baseball, you got it all with FanDuel. Chuck Freeman here, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. And by the way, our podcast, get it on Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download your audio podcast. The number one Brewers podcast on the internet for great reason. You guys, you fans out there, trust us. And we're offering daily content during the week, 30 minutes. Our 30-minute show. You get it downloaded fresh into your podcast platform, or you go to YouTube. Search Locked On Brewers on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell that alerts you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. You'll come into the Locked On Brewers studio and see all memorabilia. You'll see my smiling face, and it'll be all good. Brewers 12-11. They heading into game 2. We'll get to game 2. We're going to preview game 2 of the series against the Giants coming up here in a little bit. But the media, Milwaukee media, Wisconsin media, caught up with Willie Adames. Said he wasn't surprised. And I'm taking this out of the Journal Sentinel. The article I had read in tonight's paper on Adames said he was not surprised. I just want to give credit where credit is due. Was not surprised that the Brewers are finding a way to win. Was not surprised at all that they were winning games and finding ways to win. He says that's what the Brewers do. And that's what I've been saying. That's what we all say. Brewers just find ways to win. They lose guys. They lose Corbin Burns. They lose Josh Hader. They lose Willie Adames. They continue to win. They continue to find ways away. He goes, that's the Brewers' way. And that's great to hear that Adames says that. And he went out and had an 0-for-4 night. He did score a run. And He didn't get an RBI, but a run scored on his ground out that Hoskins dropped at first base as they were trying to turn two. They went and got Adames on the double play ball anyway, but a run scored after Hoskins couldn't field a throw from second base. And that was on a Adames hit. Hit at the third to Durbin over at third. But interesting with Adames, he went over 4, struck out once as well. Said, and I don't know why they would, and they didn't. He was surprised, sound like that the Brewers showed no interest in him, didn't get a phone call or anything in the offseason. Now, I'm with the Brewers on this. Why would you call Willie Adames? Why would you bother him? They were not going to sign him to the kind of contract he got in San Francisco, almost $200 million. They weren't going to sign him to that. So it's like me going to buy a house. I see a beautiful mansion. Well, why would I call the realtor up and waste his time? Right? If I see a beautiful Lamborghini at a car lot, certainly I'm not going to waste the salesman's guy and say, hey, I want to test drive this Lamborghini because I want to buy it. No, not at all. And the same thing with the Milwaukee Brewers. They knew they weren't going to re-sign him. So Willie was, I don't know. I looked at it and I said, Willie was complaining somewhat that, well, the Brewers never called. No, that's not on the Brewers. It wasn't like the Brewers didn't show any interest because they knew that they weren't going to pay him any money. They knew they couldn't afford it. Why would you call Willie up and give him an offer like you did CC Sabathia? Remember that? 4 years, $100 million. He wasn't going to take that with the Brewers. Brewers did that 30 years ago with Paul Molitor. Remember the low ball? They offered him a pay cut, Paul Molitor. So why would you call Willie Adames up when you know you're not going to match any offer you got on the free agent market? So I'm with Willie. I don't know what Willie's thinking, but I'm with the Brewers here. Surprised they never got a phone call. Well, I mean, you knew the Brewers situation, Willie. Come on. And Arnold was asked tonight, Monday night, about it. And the Brewers' policy is they don't discuss contract negotiations, which is a good thing. We don't need to know that. That's personal business. Matt Arnold doesn't want to talk about contract negotiations. He said they had a great relationship with Adames, but that was it. He wasn't going to talk about it. But the Brewers were not going to, nobody ever thought Willie was, and there was, I know, the chatter on the internet last year that Willie would take the hometown discount. He wasn't going to do that. Wasn't going to do that. Brewers weren't going to match what the Giants gave him. No, not at all. Yeah, it was great having Willie here, but we knew he wasn't going to be here for a long time, especially after the year he put up last year. And you know what? Reese goes out and he has a great year. Reese will not be back here next year either. He will not, Frankie Montes. The Brewers weren't going to, they didn't call Frankie Montes either, probably. They were going to pay him $20 million, $17 million a year. No. That's the way the Brewers operate. Why would you make a phone call to an agent or a player? Hey, Willie. Yeah, we'd love to have you back. Oh man, I enjoy my time in Milwaukee. Well, here's what we're offering. How about a 7-year deal, $58 million, and if you win an MVP 3 times, we'll bump it up to $100 million. How about that? I mean, that's what the Brewers can offer. That's all they can afford. That's at least that's what they tell us. So Adames was says he was surprised he didn't get a call. The Brewers showed no interest. Well, the Brewers weren't going to pay him. So I'm with the Brewers on that. All right. Get to these multitude of transactions the Brewers made on Monday. Number 1, Logan Henderson was sent down. I had said on Monday's podcast, man, Logan Henderson, he's here to stay. One of the greatest pitching debuts in Brewer history, right? What he did, 6 innings, 9 strikeouts, 3 hits. Man, he was great. Don't get all worked up about this, that he got sent down to AAA. Now, the reason why, obviously, Tobias Myers is coming back on Thursday. And the Brewers have a 5-man rotation. They're not going with 6 guys. They're not going with a 6-man rotation. They're not putting Henderson out in the bullpen. Peralta, Quintana, Patrick, Priester, and Myers. Their 5 guys are starting right now. So where would Logan Henderson fit into that? No, he wouldn't. Myers coming back Thursday. Obviously, if they have a setback with somebody, he's the first guy they're going to call up to make a start. But they're finally starting to get some guys healthy. Hopefully Myers is the start of some other guys returning to this team very soon. But Logan Henderson down to Nashville. Rest assured, it won't be the last time we saw Logan Henderson. Somebody might say, I saw some people write me and say, how come Piamps wasn't sent down? Well, if you're going to go on production, obviously Piamps, but no, they need bullpen help. They need Piamps pitched an inning on Monday night. No, Piamps is going to stay on this team, at least for now. But he was not going to be they were not going to send him down and there's no reason to keep Logan Henderson in when he's a starter and Piamps is a reliever. So that was an easy decision. The disturbing news is Nestor Cortez being moved to the 60-day injured list. Now, I know he was shut down a couple of days ago from throwing. And the disturbing thing here is I always feel anytime somebody's moved to the 60-day IL, that tells me 60 days, is that going to turn into 90 days and then 120 days and then done for the year? Sounds like end of June they're shooting for, but they've shut him down right now because of the elbow strain. I'm not a doctor, but I've seen how these things go. Have we seen the last of Nestor Cortez pitching with the Brewers? Man, he pitched well in his last start. And of course, the first game against the Yankees, it was terrible. But yeah, not good news for Nestor. Going on not good news for the Brewers either, going on the 60-day IL. Love to have him in the rotation. Forget about that first one. He was great in the second outing, his 6 innings that he pitched in the second outing. But I don't know. The elbow strain, we'll see if we see him this summer at all. But like I said, when a guy goes on the 60-day IL, it's usually pretty good indication that there's something going on there. We'll see. Craig Yoho is called up. We all want him to make the roster out of spring training. He's pitching well at AAA. Got in the game on Monday night. 20 pitches, 1 hit, 1 K. Allowed a run on that double play fly ball. But pitched the 8th inning. Yoho did. And the Giants were able to expand on a 4-2 lead to make it 5-2 with that run. But Yoho, we'll see how long he's up here. But Yoho adds to the bullpen. More bullpen arms. So that's smart if you think about it. Logan Henderson sent down. Obviously, there's no room for him. Cortez, disappointing news. Discouraging. And then calling up Yoho. So you could understand all those moves the Brewers made. And you know how the Brewers roster goes. Especially with pitching. What is it? 8 different starters so far this year. 8 different players have started a game so far for the Brewers. But it's going to be consistently fluid throughout the season. Bullpen, they'll be calling up guys from Nashville. They'll be bringing them back, calling them up, bringing them back. That's just the way it goes. The Brewers use a lot of players. This isn't 1987 anymore. It's a fluid. This is an organization right now that, especially with the state of baseball right now, they use a lot of players. They need bullpen help. They'll call somebody up. They'll have no problem doing it. But good to see Yoho on this team. We'll see how long he stays up. If maybe he gets sent down the road if they need a roster spot. Tuesday. Looking forward to Tuesday already. Seeing Quintana make his 3rd start with the Brewers. First 2 have been pretty good. See how that 3rd one goes. We'll talk about that and who the Brewers will be facing coming up on Tuesday. Coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. And of course, again, you get the postcast right after games during the week. Radden has that, and he'll be going on live right here, right after the games. And, of course, we'll be still doing our Locked On Brewers podcast as well. Nothing changes. We just have added a live show to the channel. Jose Quintana, 2 solid starts for him, as I mentioned. Makes his third start, another 8:45 Central Standard Time. Willie Adames is the only one who's got good numbers against Quintana for his career. When Adames played with Milwaukee and Quintana played with a multitude of other teams. So Adames is 6 of 17, a home run and 4 Ks against Quintana. Otherwise, nobody really has got on this roster has got a significant number of bats. Yelich has got his at-bats against him, but nobody really else. Hoskins has got a few, obviously. The Brewers are facing Jordan Hicks. Jordan Hicks, the former St. Louis Cardinal, 4-7 last year. Looked great in his first start. His last start, interesting, against Philadelphia. Hicks allowed 5 runs in the first inning, and usually in that case, it's going to be a short night. But he stuck around. He allowed just one more hit the rest of the way and stuck around for 7 innings. Like I said, a very interesting start for Jordan Hicks. Got banished to the bullpen last year. First start of the year looked great. 1-2, a 6.04 earned run average. 6.04 earned run average. So Brewers don't have a lot of history players on this team with history against Jordan Hicks. Not a lot. Not a lot of players at all. Yelich, same guys. Yelich, Hoskins, guys like that. So that's it. Brewers will try to take game 2 of this series. 10-game road trip. Yeah, they won't be home until May. They're on the road for the entire month, the rest of the month of April. 10-game early in the season. So they'll play the 4 games in San Francisco, 3 in St. Louis this weekend. They see the Cardinals for the first time. And then next week, they're in Chicago to face the White Sox before coming home and playing the Cubs. Yeah, we'll see the Cubs. I think it's May 2nd. We'll see the Cubs on a weekend homestand. But next weekend, the Brewers will be out of town. But down to Chicago. I think I might get to go to a couple of those games down in Chicago and see the Brewers play. So, yeah, just one loss tonight. Threw the ball around. A lot of mistakes. Defense. Priester wasn't great on the mound. Highlight to me, seeing Yoho pitch and Caleb Durbin hitting that second inning home run, which be the only offense of the night. Funny how baseball works. 14 runs. You couldn't stop them on Sunday. Come right back, score the 2 early runs on the Durbin home run on Monday. And that was it. They did not get a hit from the 4th inning on. From the 4th inning on, these guys were blanked. Couldn't get anything started against this Giants team that lost on Sunday when their bullpen, their closer, blew a 3-run 9th inning game against the Angels. So game 2, so 2 more night games and then the day game on Thursday. That's going to do it for Locked On Brewers for tonight. By the way, you get our podcast on Google, Spotify, Apple. Always hit the likes on any of those platforms and hit the subscribe button. If you're on YouTube watching this, and please subscribe to one of those channels. That always helps the podcast. All our content is free. And, of course, our growing YouTube page. If you're on the audio platform, go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That alerts you every time we drop an episode on Locked On Brewers. I got some questions I got to take later in the week from you guys. I know some of you guys have asked me some questions about what's going on. If you want to drop them here, that's great, too. We'll pick out some of the good questions and all that. We'll read them in some of the next episodes, either Tuesday or Wednesday, maybe Thursday's episode. We'll do that next week. We'll take a mailbag section. I don't want to do a whole show doing mailbag, but we'll certainly take a portion of the show, a segment of the show to take some questions on the podcast. And that's going to do it. By the way, hit me up on Twitter, our growing Twitter page, trying to get the 10,000, by the way. Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND. You got a personal question you want to ask? When I say personal question about the Brewers, maybe you don't want to put it on the timeline, the Twitter timeline. You can always DM me. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I do get quite a few DMs, but I will get back to you. Just hit me up, Chuck Freeman, Freimund. That's going to do it. Thanks for making us your first listen to on Locked On Brewers. Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. This is Chuck Freeman. Have yourself a great Tuesday, everybody.